Hello, welcome back. All right, session 3 for vector graphics, Adobe Illustrator. This will be your first portfolio builder project where you'll be concentrating on just one item for this session plus the book. But previous to that, I'm going to go over a lecture on the layout. If you've had me for 103, this might be a repeat, but it's so important and why we teach it and all the definitions and what they are and how come you need them and why you use them and why they're so important. In the end, it will cost you money. It costs the client money. Lots of big problems come if you don't know how to do a layout and the layout correctly. I'm going to go over a few items just refreshers. And then I got some fun stuff to show you as well to help start enhancing your projects. So let's jump in, and I'm going to do the project last. So I'm going to do the layout lecture, then I'm going to jump around and show you a bunch of things that I've written down, and hopefully my other computer will be up and running by that point, and we'll go through it. All right, lecture layout. Let's download this guy and review it. So you are learning how to do layouts. Every time you work on a project for me, you're creating a layout. But you don't know what you're doing maybe or why you're doing it. So let's review that. And it's fairly simple, but it's so good to know. And then I can use these definitions and you're not going to be like, oh, wait, what? I don't know what that means. Like, now you know what it means and you have it. So download it, keep it for yourself, review it. Let's do it. All right, the artboard. Well-known terms, also can go by the canvas or a page, the artboard. This is used in Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop, and probably in everything that you design. You have an artboard. It's where your art goes. And it's that black little line, and anything within the artboard that isn't on a template layer will show up in your design. So that's the artboard. So when a designer or me or the print place that is printing your stuff will say the size of the document, the artboard, or the canvas. Oh yeah. Ooh, I'm not. Hold on. Can everybody hear? Okay, now you can hear. All right, cool. Let's just make sure I'm recording. All right. So that's the artboard, and they'll tell you, like 4x6, boom, artboard, done. And just so you know, these are in alphabetical order, not in order of importance. Bleed. Now this is very important. So you have your artboard, and then you have this stuff past the artboard, and that's bleed. So when you do an awesome poster or any sort of awesome design and you want imagery and stuff to go off the page, you want to flood the page with color, flood it with stuff, you need to use bleed. So what bleed is extra artwork going past the artboard. The reason being is when they print, the company or the printer, I'm going to start drawing. Let's start drawing. Actually prints on a piece of paper larger than your document. So say you have a flyer and it's 8.5 by 11. They'll print that flyer on a piece of paper that's 11 by 17, and then they'll print all the bleed and the crop marks, and then they'll cut out your 8.5 by 11 out of that 11/17. That allows you to have that full bleed. It can print edge to edge, we call it. And some printers can now do that, but normally not. To get edge to edge, you print on a larger sheet of paper. So if you don't have bleed and you cut your piece of paper and you're a little bit off, what will happen is white would show up. Then you got a weird white edge, whatever. So if you extend all your important stuff past all the way to the bleed, it's a guarantee that no matter what happens when the cutting process, if there's a shift, a problem, you will have edge to edge perfection. And that's why we include the bleed. Anytime you do a design, if you want it, I want this image right up to the edge. Well, then we're going to make that image go actually past the edge as a guarantee that no matter what, it is up to the edge. And that's why bleed is very, 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 very important. Crop marks. Well, this is where the client knows where to cut it. The printer knows where to cut it. Easy peasy. We put those in. These get printed in the final document, and then they know when they line it up with their super cutters these days, the cutter knows where those crop marks, it sees it with the lasers, and kapow, puts down a guillotine. They cut it with a guillotine, it's called. And boom, 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 cuts all four sides, referencing your crop marks. So if your crop marks are off or wrong, well, then they'll cut it in the wrong spot. So again, very important that your crop marks are correct in the right spot, because then you do a piece. All these things that when I like kind of reference back to like, if you do it wrong, you as the designer are in charge of this. If it prints wrong, you as the designer take the fall. Oh, we got the product back and it's smaller than it was supposed to be. And then the printer says, well, we based it off the crop marks. And if you had your crop marks wrong, guess who pays? You do. You pay for the whole mess up. Comes out of your pocket. It's not like, oh, well, I'm sorry I messed it up. They're like, no, all right, one, it's late. So we're going to pay you less because now it's late. You have to pay all the reprinting fees and resetup fees. So you're basically out all the money for the project. So that's why this stuff is important. So crop marks, where to cut it. Grids, use them if you need them. There's 1,000 ways to make grids. You can turn grids on, turn them off. It helps you line stuff up. When you're doing like real simple, like kind of informational design, I'm not talking like crazy David Carson design, which is beautiful and wonderful, and I love doing that too. But use grids where needed. If you want something to line up with something else, use a grid or use the guides. That's why they're there. Like I never want to see like here's your image and I got the image in here. And then for some reason your text is like an 1/8 inch over here. Like pull a guide and line it up. There's no reason why you can't do that. There's so many tools built into these programs that help you get things exactly how you want. Grids you can turn on and off. You go up the view all the way down. There's grids, turn them on, and you can pick grids that are spaced by 1 inch with like 12 divisions or 8 divisions. If you want 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch, like you could set these things how you want them, and none of them print. They're there for you for reference. You can turn them on and off to view and unview. Guides, pull them, use that ruler. I'll show you how you're always pulling those 2 guides for all your documents just to get the center point. It's good to know the center point. Again, these don't print. They're there for you and to help you design better. Like, so you can line things up and make things look great. The margin is darn near as important as the bleed. The margin is your safety zone. Right there, No important information should go past this pink line. Why is that? Well, like I said, we hope that the printer can crop or can cut your image perfectly. But when you're doing thousands, tens of thousands of things, stuff shifts. And there might be a few that get pushed over here. So that means you have less room. So if I have text and I run it like here and I have like a T really close to this edge, there's a chance it gets cut off. The margin is your safety zone. The margin is there. I set up margins for all my documents. I set them up, tell you to set them up for yours. And it's basically me saying, if it's important, it shouldn't go past that line. It might get cut off. Plus, it looks better in the design. If you want something to the edge, it should go past the edge. Why would you want something teetering on the other edge of the page? So we use a margin. And the margin is just like, all right, everything I design will only be within the margin zone. And if I want color to spill off, it goes all the way to the bleed. You know what I mean? So that's how we work. So, you know, generally all text, or if you have a person's like a group picture and there's a bunch of people, well, this last person, we don't want them cut off. So we move it here to the margin and then we extend the photo past it. Well, Joel, problem is the photo doesn't have any, like, this is the only photo they gave us and it doesn't have enough room to make bleed. Oh boy, Photoshop these days, you just type it in, AI, extend the right edge of the photo by 1/2 inch, and it magically does it and you're fine. So, but the margin is your safety zone. That's why we include the margin on our images, and that's why no important information ever goes past the margin. So that's the layout. This is like the things you'll hear and when I'm talking about, like all that, this is it. And start to know it, start to use it, start to do it. This is what you do. You know, you're a graphic designer now. Everything you design should be thought about in advance. It's getting your desk ready, putting your canvas up on the easel, getting ready to paint. You know, like, I don't know, you know, getting the sheet music out before you play the piano and getting set up and getting right. That's super important. Oh, I got some other stuff I got to teach you too. I'll do that next week about that. So that's the layout. Get to understand the layout and how it works. All right, let's see if I can. Oh, it is. Give me one moment here. Oh, good, it didn't ask. I got my notes, and my notes went away because my computer updated. All right, let's talk about letter forms. We all know these projects, right? And I am very adamant about not distorting fonts. So this is my font, right? This is my serif font that is chosen. And I have an idea and I want to do something. So I'm going to edit and I'm going to go to type, create outlines. Now I have the outlines and I can ungroup this. And then move it as I want. Now I am adamant still that we do not squish or squash text. But there's something I will allow, and that's proper distortion. And when I say proper distortion, you can do certain things to a letter form that isn't squashing or squishing, but like making it seem different. So what I'm going to do, I'll just do like the eye. So the eye is a piece. Now, if I use the direct select and I just grab, and I'm going to make sure I'm only grabbing like the top part of it. And, oh, come on. And then I slowly pull that up. I allow distortions like that. I am not squishing, squashing, or ruining the letter form itself. I'm just kind of extending it. So like maybe this is a person, like this, the eye turns into a person, and then I'm going to flip it and make them look like they're like walking out. The eye is exiting. So feel free to play with the letter form by doing certain, you know, modifications to it like that. Or here's a couple more. I got to type some other letters. Oh. Let's just grab this. So all I did there, that's just using the direct select tool again. Select, selects all, just to repeat. Selects the whole thing. Direct select allows you to take certain parts and only select those certain parts. Again, I don't want beyond recognition distortions, but you can do some of that. Here, I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to think of some weird things like dividing. Okay. Type, create outlines, object, ungroup, just allows me. Now, what if I, like, for some reason, I want this D different? I can maybe delete the middle part, so it's a solid D. Or somebody looked this up. There's a billion ways to do that. You can cut the D in half. Like, say you wanted the D cut in half, and I've got a project coming up to show this a bit more of how to do this tool, but look it up if you want to. So you can use the, oh, where is it? Oh, here, shape tool. And then when I delete that, I get half a D. So it's still the D, but it hasn't been distorted. It's just been altered. And I know it's a fine line between stuff. And I can, you could do that whole thing, or like take out the, take off the top of the eyes. So when you start doing these, I got to ungroup that. You can push it a little bit further, but again, no squishing or squashing. But if you want to extend parts or hide parts or cut parts, feel free. Do you have to do it immediately on these first 2 rounds that you've been doing? No, but I'm just starting to show you a couple more things that might be helpful to you. Hold on, sign in. All right, next up. Let this, I always talk about this. I don't always talk about this. Don't wait in the last minute to do your homework. Why? Because just stuff like this happens. I was all set, had all my information up on a computer to look at, to review, to have for you. And my computer decided to update and restart on its own. And it took 20 minutes. Well, if you're running up to the deadline, like, give yourself enough time. Like, don't work to it's due at midnight. I'll start at 11:30. That's not a smart idea, because it's a computer and they're not perfect, All right. So I just want to talk to you about that. Next one, X height. You might start hearing about this, and I'm trying to figure out a way to really instruct some of you into this area of like margins, and like something is too close to something else. And I started, you'll hear me, I'll type it to you, like, don't get things so close to you. Back off. Don't be in somebody's face. The text shouldn't be touching an image. Some text shouldn't be touching other text unless it's a design feature. And something that maybe might help you is thinking of X height. This is used in typography. The X height is the height of the lowercase x here. And it's referenced in typography and in some logos and whatnot. And they'll say, make sure that something doesn't go past the X height of the font, which means nothing can get, you use this X as a measurement tool to help you design. Logos will say, make sure, and they'll have a specified X height. Nothing comes closer than said X height to the logo. And they'll make a box, and they'll kind of show you in like light blue or something like that. Like, this is the X height. In which, why did I do that way? In which nothing should ever come closer. Than, the X height to the logo. All right. So like the second you do something like this, then you'll get called out. The art director will come and be like, why you got the stuff is too close to the logo. You didn't, listen to the X height. So I was thinking about this. Look at my design here. And my text is right up there. But here's an X. What if you just started using this as a reference? And maybe I'll start using that with you all as a reference. The height of your text, nothing should get closer. It should be more than an X height away. So this is this type. This is an X of the same size. And so I'm going to make sure my text, why is it having such trouble today? Won't go any closer than the X height. Have that be a safety guard for you. So if you're real close, I'll ask you, is it the X height away? Is that closest letter further than the X height of the font away from the image? That's a pretty good way to look at that. So start to reference in your mind, like the X height. And when you're designing something, more space is always better than not enough space. So, you know, when you're doing stuff, I have a nice gap here. I have a nice breathing. I'm not going to do this or like, oh, I need it so big. Like people need to read it. I'm going to make it like there. It's as big as possible. No, because then it becomes uncomfortable with this area right here. So start thinking, what is that distance I have between my type and any objects around it? Oh, it's being so picky. And always increase it. More is always better. We can read that. We have good eyes. The typeface doesn't have to be huge in order for us to understand. But even better is I should line it up with this 1984 for a cohesive design experience. Turn on my rulers, pull a guide, look right there, and then make this to that size. Now, and then there you go. So look at that. That works out really nice. Always find those areas. Where can I have something line up with something else to make it look better? Like try to dance around with that. Like what can you do, where, when, how? All right. Another feature I wanted to talk about is what I was just using, the free transform tool as opposed to the select tool. I'm just going to go off the page. You can grab everything with the select tool, and then I can make it smaller, which works great. It all scales, it all works great. If I do this, grab those two, scales, works great. If I grab this, it doesn't work. See how that just became a problem? It was all good until I clicked on this type box. And then I tried to scale it, and it didn't work. Well, there's computational nuances to all of the tools. And the designers of the Illustrator program thought when we come to a text box like this, and this is point text and area text, and I'll go over that again because I had a student questioning that, is when you have area text, which text that fills an area is the best way to define it, is when I make that box smaller, you're indicating that the area and within the text is getting smaller. But for me, I was like, oh, I wanted to make this smaller. All you need to do is click on this tool, which is the free transform tool. It's the arrow with the, and it updates what this is. And this one translates so well, even better into InDesign. But if you find yourself running into this problem, oh man, no, that's not what I want. Undo it. Just have it clicked on this, click on the free transform tool, and then you can reduce it. It really hates these giant cursors of mine. Oh gosh. It does it. There we go. So that's how you change the paragraph size. So if you're too close and I'm like, oh, you're way too close to the image, you just grab that free transform tool, grab it all and make it a little bit smaller. Like it's the easiest way to make finite adjustments for what you're working on. I didn't realize how hard the text was to read on that screen. Sorry, everybody. I'm looking down on a different screen. So use the free transform tool. Just like, hey, I'm just noting it for you. Let's get back onto something brighter. Sorry about that. All right. Next up, I'm going to delete some stuff. Some of the biggest things. You know about the align tool, and you've been working on it. Start, like, it is so great to know, like, oh, I got these boxes. You click on them, boom, 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 boom. And then I want to, mine are real low here. How do you want them aligned? Any way you want. The computer does it for you. You want them evenly spaced? Distribute spacing. Boom, evenly spaced. I don't like this aligning objects and distribution spacing. You use it every day. I use it every day. It is such a handy tool to get things right. You know, like it allows you to like some freedom, and like, I'm working over here on something and this is my text box, biddity blah bitty. And I'm like, oh, well, why am I trying to line it up by hand? Grab those two, grab these two, boom, get them perfectly aligned, and then put them where you need. So start to use all these auto tools that work for you. Now there's another one where it's this align to. This automatically changes. So sometimes it's aligned to artboard, but so if you have one thing and I align it, it's going to align to the artboard. It's going to put it directly in the center. That's what I have you guys do for these projects. So, you know, my guide isn't pulled exactly in the center. But as soon as you select two items, then the alignment goes to the items itself. Easy peasy. So make sure you start using those and playing around, and don't guess. There's no reason to guess when it comes to accuracy with Illustrator. There's so many built-in things, even like this, when it, you know, all those magenta lines that pop up and show you when you're aligned to other things. The only problem is whenever I let go, I always offset it. And if you're too close, it gets a little jittery. But then, like, why even think about it? Boom, boom. I'm going to double check. Perfectly aligned. He can't say anything about it. Yeah, I think that's it. Something else came up. Excuse me, just went through puberty. It's this thing. When everything turns gray and gets all crappy, it's isolation tool. You can turn it off. I'm going to show you how to turn it off. I generally turn it off. So what it will only, when you have two items selected and you double click, it goes in this isolation mode in which you're able to like adjust like one of the two items within your grouping, and then you go back out, but it keeps it. I honestly am not 100% sure why you would use it. I don't use it. And so it's under like your preferences. For PC, your preferences are under File. For Mac, it's under here, and it's under General. And let me find it. Isolation. I should just look it up. Oh, let's look it up. Two ways to look it up. Need help? Isolation. Or I'm going to Google it. Window workspace. All right, so I'm going to go to Google. Because everybody's just this place. Turn off isolation and boom. No, I want to press the escape key on your. No, I want to just never use it. Oh. They may have made it permanent. I'm going to research the isolation mode off camera It used to just be under settings. Well, that's upsetting because it's so dumb. It used to be right in here. I'd turn those off. Oh, double click to isolate. There it is. Turn that off. In general, double click to isolate. If you turn that off, that thing won't happen anymore. Thank goodness I found it. All right, double click. I figured isolate would be the first word. So much for me skimming. All right, so if you want, turn that off. The other one, if you want my cool crop marks, it's called use Japanese crop marks in the same spot. Hit OK. Now I have two things hit, and when I double click, nothing happens. Thank goodness. So if you ever run into that problem, that's how you turn it off. So there we go. Crop, paste, align, review, X height, letter. Okay, and then just to go over once more, I'm going to go over the type. We have two type options. You click once, point type. I click the point. Point type is used for single words, titles, headers. It allows you to do, a quicker, make it bigger, make it smaller, move it around. It's easier to use. Area type, lots of type. Paragraphs. That then allows you to adjust the size and the words fill the area better. See how that's happening? That's why you use area type for body copy. Then also, like, all the same things can happen with these two, adjusting point size, leading, tracking, kerning, all that kind of stuff happens in both of these. But when you do a paragraph of text, it's always area type. Point text this. Once in a while, we copy and paste stuff in the wrong way. Let me go out. Ugh. Oh. I'm going to go to my assignment, courses, vector graphics, course sessions, challenges. And I get my text. Oh, this is the other one I've seen happening. I got it, copy, and I'm so excited. All I do is I go and I get my type tool and I click and I hit V. And I'm like, oh no. Now I got a line of text. That's my whole paragraph. What shall I do? Just double click on this end piece. See how it has an arrow with that T? That means I'll make it area type for you. And then I can just make my box. And there we go. Now it's area type. If I double click on that again, it is now point type, in which it makes this darn near like impossible to work on as a paragraph. Oh, I need some stuff on the other line. You have to do it all by hand. But then instead I double click there and transform it back, and I can fix that up. Always watch your returns. You have to delete out returns sometimes. See that? You have to delete out your own returns. Get this on white, sorry. And then make sure when you come across, you look for your own spaces and spacing. Every once in a while, when you start typesetting, there'll be that, because when you copied and pasted, there's a little extra space there. Just go in and delete it. Nothing is perfect when you get type from a client, from anybody. You have to do a lot of this yourself, and it's just fine tuning. That is what being a graphic designer is all about. So area type is for paragraphs of text. It allows you to adjust the text with the box itself, and all the words move with it. Point text, once it's done, it's done. And you can, hold down shift and you can really just, change the size of it. But if you want to change the size of that box, you have to like hold down shift and do other things. So titles, single words, use point text, paragraphs, use area type. There you go. Any questions on any of this reviewing stuff so far? All right. Let's do it. Let's do your project. Project review, of course, please. Let me see your work before you hand it in. I will check it, clean it, tell you what to fix, what not to fix before you turn it in. Of course, I don't check this between the hours of I don't really check it after 8 p.m. So tonight, if you're like, oh my God, I got to ask him all these questions about my work, I'm done. I expected you to have this done a little bit sooner and not rushing. So I'll get back to you in the morning. But the day it's due is not the day to ask all your frantic questions, because you need me to look at it, adjust it, make a review. So you're kind of, be wise. I'm not constantly on, my day ends at a certain point. I have my other studies to do, but use it all week. I'm there. Double check it. Your book assignment, techniques for selecting artwork. I should have both those set up. Oh, I have to change the modifier. I'll get that set up. I was doing some other things, but I'll just get the modifier in there for you all for the 2 different sessions. And now portfolio builder number 1. You are going to create a poster. You are going to create a poster for the Bauhaus School. What in the world is the Bauhaus School? Well, back in the day, in Germany, before, I can't remember which World War, the Nazi one, a school was created, and it transformed design schools from the 30s until now. 100 years later, we're still representing the Bauhaus in the way we teach design. Back in the day, you would become an apprentice and hang out, your parents would send you, starting at the age of 8, you'd be sent to a shop and you'd be the apprentice and you'd sweep and you'd clean. And then finally they'd be like, you can draw a line. And then you had to do it perfectly 10 billion times. And that's how you became a designer. Then they're like, no, let's create a school and actually teach it and have groups of people. And it's all this great stuff. It's world famous and you're going to learn about it more and more and more as you become graphic designers. But I thought, what a great idea to create a poster that visually represents the Bauhaus. Well, what is the Bauhaus and what's the visual representation? So easy, so simple. First, we're going to create your document. So I can go through this, do it each time. Let's go home. New file. We're going to create 24 by 36, 24, tab 36. Nope. Inches. Good. One board. My bleed. 0.25. Click that. Boom, boom, boom. Think we're good with that. Create. I'm going to turn on my ruler now. I'm a little lost without it. I'm going to create my first layer, margin. I'm going to make my box. And my box is going to be 23 by 35. I'm just going to draw a general box, right? And then I'm going to go to transform. Because why? Futz, when you can just go 23, tab, 35, enter. Make sure I'm at that selection tool. My fill is nothing. My stroke color is that beautiful magenta. And then I'm going to go down to the align. And I'm going to center and center it. Then I'm going to pull my guides so I know where the exact middle or darn near exact middle is. Lock it, hamburger, template, done. Now again, the template, anything that you draw on the template won't show up in the final artwork. It's a wonderful way to use the template. You can put notes, weird stuff, weird guides, weird helpers, all in a template. You can make 30 template layers and none of that stuff will show up. So you start to use that when you need to. Crop marks. Easy peasy. Type in crop marks and make it the size of the artboard. Might as well just type it in instead of futzing with my giant cursor. Center, center, stroke, none, function, FX, crop marks. Lock it, done. Then you're going to create layers, title, date, text, elements. Title, spell right, title, date, text, going too fast, elements. All right. And then make sure the margin's on top, the crop marks are below it, and all your artwork goes there. Boom. All right. I created that. Here are the requirements. The title of the poster is The Bauhaus School. I want you to include the dates, 1919 to 1933. Here is a paragraph about the Bauhaus that needs to be included. Design elements. Review the samples included with this assignment to understand the Bauhaus style. Use lines and shapes as key visual components. Employ the techniques you learned in previous assignments with line and shape tools. And then focus, again, on simplicity and balance. Modernist style characteristic of Bauhaus designs. Use the included fonts only. I included fonts. It's Arial, Arial Italic, Area bold italic, and Bauhaus. So there's 5 fonts. You don't have to use all 5. But these are the only ones I want you to use. So why is this important? Like, wow, how come it's only the fonts I can use? Later on in life, when you work for clients have specific fonts that you can only use when designing for that client. Target, Kohl's, Pick and Save, Nike, Apple. If I work for those clients, I have to use the fonts that are specified by them from their brand guidelines. It's a normal thing to do. You're not always just like let loose. I wish we were always just let loose. We're not. We're not always let loose in the world and do whatever you want. Sometimes you are, but a lot of times you have a bunch of rules in front of you and you use those rules and then you design the greatest thing ever. You'll actually find out as you design, kind of the more restrictions put on it, the better your designs become, because you push yourself harder to be like, within these restrictions, what is the craziest stuff I can do? It's fun. It's great. Okay, notes. Title and date should be point text. The paragraph should use area text. Of course, do not use Myriad Pro as your font. I've included fonts. You can play with the title. Think of the lettering expressions. Never squish or distort text to get it to fit. Mind the margins and watch your white space, meaning your X space. Here are examples of Bauhaus design. You can see how simple it is. It is lines and shapes. And a big key one with them is these 45-degree angles, or 30-degree angles. And you'll be coming back to this. We have another assignment kind of based a little bit on this, but a little bit more tight, coming up in a couple weeks. But kind of, if you look at these, I'm not saying copy it exactly. I'm saying look at these and be like, create a poster that if somebody was looking at your poster would be like, oh, is that a Bauhaus poster? Even though it's got Bauhaus as the title, you know what I mean? But look around, look at the styles. They use shapes, they use lines. They use, like bold colors. What are the main colors being used? Like generally blue, red, yellow, right? Like, so you simplify your colors. You look at, oh, I wish I had more information. Bauhaus, literally, return images. And just look, Bauhaus. This guy from art museums, like Mondrian, he's a Bauhaus guy. I think everybody kind of recognizes that. Dig through, look at other designs. I got the best of the best that I could find for the examples. Like I said, this is a super famous one that everybody, bases theirs off of. A lot of shapes, these fun, like half circles. You know how to take a circle and cut it in half? Same thing with taking a circle, cutting it in a quarter. So play around, have some fun. You can go simple. Simple is elegant, but it has to be perfect. If you're like, oh, I'm just going to do like 3 lines of the text and be done with it. Like, then I'm going to come back and be like, why isn't everything aligned? Should be aligned perfectly. You should be looking at your spaces and your gapping. Like, why is there more room here than here? Like, did you look at that? Like, it is honestly simpler is harder. But like, there's a good example. There's examples out here everywhere to dig around and look. Again, do not verbatim copy somebody else's design, but use it as inspiration for your own design when coming up with your poster. This is one where I highly suggest you maybe draw some stuff out, getting an idea. And when I say draw some stuff out, it's so like you get a piece of paper, you get a pen, pencil. Let's see, hopefully this doesn't have anything on it. Get a piece of paper, get a pen and pencil. It can be anything. Don't go out, be like, oh, we needed to get a sketchbook. You don't have to. You can just like Post-it note, the back of a bill that has a blank piece of paper. And just think. If you think like this, it's quicker. Right? There's my poster. First idea. Well, I'm looking at stuff. So kind of like, I'm going to write real lightly, like maybe if I do this 45, just to start giving me an idea, right? And I'm going to be like, I want Bauhaus and spell it correct, Bauhaus. And that's going to be on an angle like that. And then I'll put the paragraph like here. All right. And then the date, I'll put the date like on a line here. And then, but this way, I'm going to have like a bunch of just like weird shapes and lines. That took me a minute, 2 minutes. But what it's doing is it's giving me a baseline in which I can start to design. You don't always have to do this, but to save yourself time, and then like, and this is I want to do another one. I want to include circles. I want like, a circle, a square, and a triangle. Well, right there. Okay, I messed that up. All right, just look how quick this was. A circle, a square, and a triangle. All right, boom, did it. And then I started to think like, okay, Bauhaus. I'm going to actually run Bauhaus down the side. And then, then I got this idea where if this is, maybe I have like another box here, which I have to figure, and this will be the text. So I got to figure out how that's going to fit in there. And then the date is going to be, running weird, here. Play around. Don't be scared. And guess what? All this stuff, just throw it away. If you don't like it, it doesn't matter. I think we get set up when when everybody says like, you should draw it out first. We're like, okay, Leonardo da Vinci time, like this is going in the Louvre when I'm done. And we like get so insane and like, oh, the Vitruvian man, this must be perfect. It's like, no, just slap it down, because otherwise it takes much longer. Like I have this set up, but now I gotta type and I got Bauhaus, and then I'm trying, and my thought's gone already because I'm just at this point, and all I want to do is make it big. Well, I just did this. I got my idea, and now I don't have to rush. I'm not trying to sketch in the computer. I do this in Photoshop. I have a drawing pad. I have a drawing tablet. If you have an iPad, you can use that. Like if you don't like paper, but I want like the biggest thing, and even in the digital world. Here, if you don't like what's happening, throw it away. It's pixels. It's not wasted time. Anytime you start a design, if you're like, this is not going the way I expected, like I hate it, just trash it and start over. Do not adjust what you were working on. Just start over. It's not precious. Nobody cares, right? Nobody. I often say this back when taught in a different way. If you do have a sketchbook, take your sketchbook and rip a page out of it. We get so like, oh, it's a sketchbook. Oh, it's like no, it's not a Bible. It's just a place to draw in. Like, just draw out your ideas. Get it down. Couple minutes. Have some fun. It's just a pen and a paper. It can be crude like this, but at least this is a starting point to do your design. I have this idea. Just kind of like blip, 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 draw it out. Get it done. And then you can look at that and be like, all right, here's even the cooler part. I'm going to show you. You can scan it. You can take a picture of it. This is what you're going to end up doing for me in future classes is I took a screenshot of that. All right. It's just an image. And it's just like the work you guys do for me. I'm going to put in a new layer. Call it drawing. File, place. We know how to place an image, right? Because we place them all the time. I'm going to go to my desktop, find that screenshot, place that in, and now I have a generalized template of what I want to do as well. And now I just have to put the type on top of it. This is even less thinking and more designing, because I did my thinking quickly in sketching it. And then I don't know if I loaded Bauhaus. I'm gonna load Bauhaus real quick. Boop, boop, boop. No. Don't you dare. Close. It does not like it when I open up a lot of windows for. Oh, okay. The font is zipped. Of course, we right click, double click or right click, extract them, go with that one. TTFs, these just load. All you have to do is double click on them, load a font. Install. Same with the PC. But yeah, that's why just kind of importance of like, and I know I had 90% of students tell, but I can't draw. I'm not asking you to draw. I'm just asking you to get your idea out on paper quick. So you're not spending so much time on the computer trying to get what you have in your mind. They could be down and dirty, and just as long as you know, like, I got it out. There you go. There's the Bauhaus font. Now, oh, here's a suggestion. You saw some cool ones. You do not have to automatically turn this into, outlines. Whoa, that's crazy. My 45 drawn line is almost perfect. I can't believe that. Cool. So like, there's my title. Or you saw other ones and you'd be like, well, I may want that, but maybe I want to have those weird H's, like, well, then play around here and make your H's, and by weird H's, don't destroy, type, create outlines, object, ungroup. And then I'm like, I'm going to grab with my direct select. And then I'm going to click on that and I'm going to like pull those up, and maybe pull these down. And now when I grab all that and then I'm holding shift and I turn it to 45, like maybe that's what I want. And then that's going to extend up and down. So you can embellish upon your sketch, but this gets you going. So any questions, comments, or concerns? All right, cool. Give me 30 minutes. I'll add the modifiers in for the book assignment. Use the project review and start working on some Bauhaus posters, or your Bauhaus poster, just one. So awesome. Great. I'm around. Let me know if you have questions, comments, or concerns. I'm here. I'm just going to finish up and then get this published as well. So, all right. Thank you. Take care. Talk to you on Thursday.